Hey out there! Did you know that there was a Wave 2 to the World of Warcraft line? The Warcraft movie toy line? I sure didn't. I freaking worked at Toys R Us. I still work at Toys R Us for the next month or so. But yeah, the movie underperformed pretty badly. And the toys sold so poorly, they just peg-warmed there, even into their clearance. Even to this day, you can still find some of the Warcraft minifigures and roleplay weapons on the shelves of my Toys R Us. So, imagine how blown my mind was when I was browsing through a Five Below and found out that they actually did make a Wave 2. Like, I didn't think that they would have bothered. I guess they made the toys, but because they sold so poorly, no retailers actually wanted to get them in stock or ever needed to, because the first wave was sitting on the shelf for months on end. So finally, they just took the inventory of the Wave 2 figures and sent them to Five Below, because that's the dumping ground of all forgotten toy lines. Let's take a look at it. Alright, so specifically this is Garona, the half-orc. She's basically, I guess, the female lead, although, like, I didn't watch the movie, so I don't really know much about her. The box looks exactly the same as the Wave 1 boxes. You got a picture of a really nice looking figure on the back. I mean, seriously, look at that. Pretty well defined facial features, well done makeup, good color placement. Things that you don't really see on the figure itself in person. But let's get out of the box and take a better look at it. So here's Garona's actual face out of the packaging. And compared to the back of the box, this looks... you know when you watch old episodes of the original Star Trek on an HD TV and everybody's faces look so cakey because they wore so much stage makeup back then? And when you put it on an HD TV, you can just see how much of it's plastered on, but you wouldn't have been able to tell that in an older TV screen, which was smaller and not in HD. That's kind of what her face looks like. I don't know, I think it's because they painted that... She also looks like she has a big doofy smile, like she's actually trying to look nice in a family photo because they painted all of her teeth in instead of just her fangs. Although, to be fair, the full tooth look is on the back of the box too. It's just not as noticeable because they painted fuller lips on her. In the actual toy, her lips are much thinner, so it just looks weird. Also, her hair really blends into her clothes. It's all just the same uniform brown color. It's not a very interesting color palette at all. A lot like the other Warcraft figures I mentioned, pretty decent sculpt work is lost to a really lackluster paint job. But then again, I'm pretty sure the manufacturers knew that this was that they had themselves a peg warmer on the slot because they probably knew the movie wasn't going to perform very well. You know, like, we're making a toy line for a video game movie? This will never sell. Don't need to bother putting too much effort into it. So, unfortunately, that is what became of poor Garona. The packaging boasts that Garona has 14 points of articulation, so let's run those down. There's nothing in the head. I guess the way that they sculpted the hair, like this is stiff plastic, so I didn't want the head to move because it might break the hair. She has a waist joint though, and it rotates around pretty evenly. Here's the thing. Her shoulders seem to be swivel cuts so they can go forwards and backwards, but there seems to be no capability for them to move outwards. Like, if there's a ball in there, I don't know about it, because every time I pull it out, it goes back down like I'm just flexing plastic. So they gave her only swivel cut shoulders. In this day and age, for a figure this size to not have a pin disc in there is absolutely shocking. It's even more confusing when you see that she has perfectly good pin discs in her elbows, affording her a bicep swivel. She also has a wrist joint on both arms, and she has pin discs in her hips, which allow for a full range of leg movement. I mean, it can't go backwards very far because of the sculpt, but it can go forwards, it can go outwards, and she even has universally jointed knees with pin discs. They only get about a 45-degree bend, but hey, she has knee swivels, so her legs actually have a pretty good range for posability. She also has a hinge joint at the foot, so combining it with the knee hinge, you can actually get her to stand, kind of looking kind of weird, but you can do it. Woo, yeah, look at that, that's amazing. So yeah, it's so weird. I'm guessing they figured because of her shoulder guards, she wouldn't get a lot of outward movement. Normally, the thing to do would be to make the shoulder guards out of a softer plastic that would give and flex out of the way, but this is very hard, inflexible plastic. So I guess they figured since we aren't going to bother using softer plastic to make the shoulder guards, we don't need to worry about giving her outward shoulder movement, which is a really weird decision. Then again, like I said, the company probably put the bare minimum of effort into this toy line because they figured no one would actually buy it. However, that didn't stop them from giving her a plethora of accessories, including a big sword, a short sword, which a big sword and a short sword, and armor, including shin guards and wrist guards. So let's kit her out with her accessories and see how she looks. By the way, before I go cutting to the armor look, I just wanted to show that they did put a little bit more effort into the paint, and that she has those little pink arm tattoos going up the length of her right arm. I don't know what they mean because I didn't watch the movie. I don't know if there's any significance to these, and they're barely visible because it's a very light shade of pink. And I'm not sure if it's showing up on camera, but they even made her skin look a little scaly. So they did put a little bit of effort into her paint, to their credit. And I really can't fault the sculpting because this is a decently sculpted figure, but I already said that. It is a little bit difficult to get the shin guards and the arm guards on because they are not made out of a very flexible plastic. It's, like I said, they use really stiff plastic to make these things, and when you have like snap-on armor, that kind of plastic is a little bit scary to work with because you're kind of afraid you'll break it. So the picture on the box shows her wielding her blade like this, underslung, and funnily enough, they even articulated this little bit of fabric on there so that as you rotate her hand around, you can make sure that it's going down the way that gravity would pull it. I find it amusing that they went through the effort to do that. And it's kind of hard to get the thing into her hand in the first place because the plastic of her hand isn't very flexible and the handle of the sword is pretty thick, so yeah, it's actually quite difficult to get the sword in there. And then, funnily enough, she has a fist for her other hand. That means she can only wield one accessory at a time. Why would you give her two weapons if she can only hold one? Like, give her two holding things hands so she can dual wield her accessories. People hate it when they have to choose one accessory or another like that. Unless it's like a character that comes with a whole bunch of accessories like Deadpool or something. At least once the armor is on, it's on pretty good. I don't get the feeling that it's gonna pop or fall off easily. Although, especially on her shins, it just looks really weird and huge. Plus the fact that it doesn't really go all the way around her arm or even her legs. They're just big gaps there. So yeah, the Warcraft toy line is absolutely nothing particularly special, and I don't think that the world lost a lot from these things never showing up in major retailers like Toys R Us or Target when it was still fresh and new, because this is really just a mediocre toy at best. I do still have a soft spot for the Warcraft toy line because, if you'll remember, I did use Warcraft figures to make my Ganondorf and Ganon customs, so they weren't a complete loss to all of us collectors. So, yeah, but that being said, it's just a very basic figure, and the fact that the shoulders are only swivel cut instead of pin disc jointed is a real negative for the line, for this particular figure, in fact. So, yeah, I mean, if you really want to pick him up, you'll probably find him at Five Below. There's also another big orc wizard that has a rather impressive sculpt, but it looks like his articulation will be compromised by all that sculpting, so I didn't even bother. Yeah, if you're really interested, head to your Five Belows. This is Wake Angel 2001, signing off.